Now I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker for the evening. He's currently a senior advisor to PricewaterhouseCoopers. He's a chairman of HSBC Bank Middle East, and it's HSBC Bank where he also held the role of CEO and chairman. He retired in 2005 after spending 37 years with HSBC Group. Of course, he's had a very long, distinguished career, starting in the Middle East, but he now plays a pivotal role in many facets of Hong Kong life, where just a few of his many varied roles include being the non-executive chairman of Hang Seng Bank, a director at Swire Pacific, a steward of the Hong Kong Jockey Club, a council member of the Hong Kong Academy for Performing Arts. He's also a Justice of Peace and the president for the Society for the Relief of Disabled Children. So you know he's a nice banker. Now, he speaks to us today and hopefully will share his wealth of knowledge about exactly what's going on in the financial markets these days. Please welcome David Eldon.
Given where we are, the first impression I want to do for you is that of a whispering slave. In ancient Rome, a returning general who had been victorious in battle was awarded a parade through the city. As the general traveled along the cobblestone streets, enjoying all the adoration and applause, riding behind him on his chariot was a slave. And the slave's sole role was to whisper repeatedly in the general's ear, "Memento mori, memento mori, memento mori." And for the non-Latin experts in the audience, the rough translation of that is, "Remember, thou art mortal." A phrase which was meant to remind the victorious general that success can be temporary, that although he may be riding high today, tomorrow he might fall, or more likely be brought down by others. Asia is in a similar position to the victorious general. Riding high after coming through the global financial crisis largely unscathed, relatively speaking, enjoying the adoration of much of the world as the dawn of the Asian century starts to take hold, and perhaps indulging in a bit of self-congratulation along the way. Clearly, there have been some economic corrections here, yet Asia looks pretty good in comparison to other places. Places like Europe, where a Greek tragedy continues to unfold, slowly, painfully, and dangerously. Also places like the UK, where the downturn has pushed some people to the point of financial desperation. As a result, some British stores have had to resort to putting electronic anti-shoplifting tags on chocolate bars, if you can believe that. And then there is the economic mess in the US. As one late-night comic noted the other day, there was a brief chase as a man jumped over the White House fence. Fortunately, the Secret Service were able to catch President Obama and talk him into coming back and finishing his term. But seriously, Asia has come out looking pretty good. This region now boasts 3 of the world's top financial centers. In the latest Global Financial Center Index, released last week, Hong Kong is now on a par with London and New York. Singapore and Shanghai are right behind them in 4th and 5th places. More interesting than the collective rankings, however, was the rise in the individual ratings. This city along with Hong Kong and Shanghai, posted double-digit gains in their respective ratings. London, meanwhile, slipped slightly, and New York recorded only a slight increase. This latest index also noted that going forward, the top 4 financial centers which are tipped to become even more significant are all in Asia. So the 3 I've already mentioned, plus Seoul. Speaking of the future, there is also McKinsey's forecast that by 2025, close to half of the world's top 50 cities by GDP could also be in this region, compared to a mere 8 cities just a few years ago. And new additions to that list of urban economic powerhouses may include Bangkok, Beijing, Chongqing, Chengdu, Delhi, Foshan, Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Mumbai, Nanjing, Shenyang. You'll notice most of them are in China. Amongst those possibly displaced from the top 50, Barcelona, Detroit, Melbourne, Munich, Oslo, Rio de Janeiro, Vienna, some big names in there. And if McKinsey's forecasts are correct, Shanghai and Beijing will also outrank London and Los Angeles in 14 years' time. Again, all things which suggest that Asia should be riding high. However, as you may have noticed, I have purposely stressed the words could and may and possibly and if. And the reason is simple, and this is where the whispering slave impression really starts. The point I want to make is that there are no guarantees to this finally being the Asian century. Such suggestions have turned out to be premature in the past.
Steve says this is the bit you've all been waiting for, and then I stand up here. It's an enormous pleasure to be here. I can assure you that between Steve and Bridget and myself, we tried very, very hard to get you a proper guest of honor this evening, but we failed. So it's me, and it's an enormous pleasure, as I say, and a privilege to present the awards. In speeches and articles and the occasional sort of interview over the last 6 months that I've been here, I think I've tried to be clear on 2 points. The first is that at the same time as us all working very, very hard to do what you all do, generating business, winning exports, generating jobs, wealth, and everything else, at the same time we should also take the occasional moment to pat ourselves on the back, or pat yourselves on the back, and celebrate what it is that you do day in, day out, which is do business extremely well indeed. So that's what this evening is all about. And my congratulations go to all of the nominees who don't actually get listed, but to the finalists who are listed in your program this evening, and of course to the finalists who we're about to meet in a minute. The second is that at the end of the day, it's what you do rather than what I do that is going to really make the difference. My day job is to try and generate benefits for Britain, and it's going to come on the back, as I say, of what you do. So if anyone actually wanted me to make a speech this evening, I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint you. So I think without further ado, we should get on with presenting some prizes. Indeed. And if I'm allowed to step away, thank you.